Howdy, today I'm reviewing the latest entry into the DC Extended Universe, Black Adam, starring Dwayne Johnson. I know I'm a few weeks late to this movie, because it came out back in October on the 21st, I think, and it's November now, but I just wanted to talk about it, and I figure I better get it out now instead of waiting months for this movie to become even less relevant. So, yeah, enjoy the review. I just want to start off by saying that The Rock surprised me in this movie. Like, whenever he first got casted in the role, I thought I was just going to see him as The Rock and not Black Adam. But, like, for the most part, I saw him as Black Adam. There were obviously parts where I was like, okay, yeah, that's just The Rock being The Rock. But he surprised me. Pierce Brosnan might be one of my favorite casting choices in any comic book movie ever. He is perfect as Dr. Fate, and his relationship with Hawkman throughout the movie is my favorite part about it. Just that kind of like history that you can see between those two characters was a really nice touch in my opinion. And speaking of Hawkman, Aldous Hodge is great in that role. Like, he really took a character that, well, I didn't have any problems with Hawkman, but I didn't really care about him before this movie, but I really liked Hawkman throughout this movie. He was great. And speaking of characters that I didn't really care about, I had never even heard of Cyclone before the marketing for this movie started. I had no idea what her powers were, who she was, where she originated. Had never heard of her. And with all things said, she was good in the movie. She didn't really have much to do, but her powers were really cool looking. Like, they did a lot of great stuff with her visually, but she's just kind of on the sidelines for most of it. And yeah, that's... Quintessa Swindell does really good with what they're given. The only problem is they're not given very much. Cyclone was just kind of put in this movie to look cool, which in reality is about 50% of the stuff in this movie, but I just felt like I had to mention it. This next part is aimed directly at Noah Centineo. Can you stop? Like, please, knock it off. For the good of everyone. Stop. Now moving on from all the casting, I want to talk about the CGI in this movie. For the most part, all the CGI is really good and holds up really well. Aside from some points where the villain looked kind of like cartoony to me, all the CGI and special effects look really solid. So that's a plus. And while I'm on the topic of the villain, he was pretty lame. He was just kind of here because the movie needed a villain, and that's about it. He doesn't serve much else of a purpose. In my opinion, the movie would have been a lot better if it had just been a Black Adam versus the JSA movie. Like, that everything with the Black Adam and the JSA is infinitely more interesting than anything they did with the villain. I'm now moving into the negatives, the things I didn't like about this movie, and now I'm going to talk about the story, which is where this movie really struggles. It is not good at all. But I don't really know if anyone goes into the DCEU at this point expecting a good story, because we're this many movies deep and we've had like 3 or 4 truly good ones, which is pretty sad to say the least. But if you don't go in expecting Shakespeare, you should be fine. There's a child actor in this movie, and he serves as kind of like the character you're supposed to see everything through the eyes of, and like he's supposed to be like the relatable human character. Oh my god, he's bad. I did not like this kid at all. And I know I'm not supposed to be super rough on like child actors, but there had to be someone better. Oh my god, dude. There's also a scene towards the end of this movie where the villain like raises an army of the undead, and they're supposed to be like a threat and scary, and they're supposed to like basically be his army that are going to kill everyone. But the civilians of Kahndaq just start picking up random trash off the street, and they beat them. They hit them all with like one hit, and the zombies like die, and then that's it. I don't think the villain was going to get much done with that army, to be honest. Now moving on from all that, The movie has a lot of humor and like jokes in it, and for the most part they all landed, for me anyway. But I only laughed at one joke that came out of Noah Centineo's mouth, and every single line he said in this movie was supposed to be funny. I laughed at one of them. It felt like they were trying to have him be super like funny and quippy like Spider-Man or Deadpool, but just none of it landed for me. I really don't think they handle Atom Smasher in this movie well, like at all. I was not a fan. Alright, I'm now moving on to the spoiler section of the video, which isn't very long, but if you somehow haven't seen the movie and you don't want it to be spoiled, now's your chance to get out of here. I'm giving you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright. Yeah, I was pretty mad when Dr. Fate died, because he's one of my favorite superheroes ever, and this is his first, like, live-action debut in a full-length movie, and he's just kind of dead now. So yeah, I'm not too happy about that, to say the least. But after that, they made up for Dr. Fate dying by bringing back Henry Cavill as Superman. This is probably the happiest I've been about anything in a comic book movie since Toby and Andrew showed up in No Way Home, which I know wasn't that long ago, but there's still been a bunch of comic book movies in between now and then. So yeah, I'm so happy he's back, man. Like, so to really wrap this up and kind of like give my final thoughts on it, it's a fun movie. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to, especially given how long it took to get made. Like, The Rock got casted in this role over a decade ago. Like, I was a baby when he first got casted. I'm about to be 18 in a few months. That's insane. But, yeah, it's definitely not, like, a good movie per se, but if you go in just expecting a dumb, fun action movie and, you know, just fun characters, then that's what you're gonna get. If you go in expecting the next Godfather, you should probably just sit this one out, Chief. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd probably give it about 6 out of 10, somewhere in there. Yeah, so that's about all I got for today. See ya. Also, feel free to like and subscribe and leave a comment. Even a hate comment, I'll take it. I don't mind.